So from the last video, we've got a comment from one of our members that I should do something a little different. So today I would like to do a Q&A session. And the questions are from Muhammad from Indonesia. He has 5 questions that are about how Zettelkasten would be applicable to today's age. So let's get right to them. Question 1. How Luhmann will use Zettelkasten if he lived in current days? Actually, I thought about this quite a bit. And I think he will not use physical Zettelkasten if he still live today. I think he would use something like BlockSeek together with Zotero for his use case. One thing to keep in mind is that Luhmann is a scholar, so he read and write publications for a living. And I think something like Zotero and BlockSeek, which are tightly integrated, would be perfect for his use case. But unfortunately, I cannot ask him, so that's my best guess. But what do you think? Do you think Luhmann would use a physical Zettelkasten, or do you think he would use Obsidian or Evernote? Leave down in the comments and I would be curious to hear your thoughts. Second question. There is some argument over chaining notes where you spread lots of ideas into several notes due to limited writing space. Some said this is not necessarily in digital format as your note is very flexible. The problem with this is the note atomicity. Do we really need to make the note as atomic as possible and spread them into several notes? Well, first of all, let me explain a couple of terms. So atomic note is basically referring to a concept that one note should only be related to one concept or one idea instead of like having multiple concepts into a note. And chaining notes referring to a concept of linking those atomic notes together. So here's my take on it. I don't think the atomic note is about limited writing space because with a digital tool, you can write your note as long as possible. But I think the benefit of an atomic note is that number one, it makes writing really fun. It's almost like gamifying your writing experience. So when you write a paper or you write an essay, it takes quite a bit of time. But when you write an atomic note, you can finish it really quickly and you can focus on one thought. And I think that's almost like gamifying the writing process. You can reach the finish line very quickly. This is very related to the concept of intermediate packet that Tiago Forte mentioned in Building a Second Brain book. And I will leave some links down below to explain a little more about this one. And the second benefit of an atomic note is that you can relate seemingly different ideas together into something that is coherent. And that's impossible if you write down everything in one note. But if you separate your thoughts into an atomic note, you can kind of mix up new dish or new recipes based on different ingredients. So that's my take on an atomic note. I don't think every kind of writing really fits an atomic note idea, but I think something like Zettelkasten, or if your goal is to develop ideas and grow your knowledge, I think having an atomic note format is really helpful. Do we need to regularly purge unneeded fleeting notes? Seems like a hassle to me, and sometimes I think they are being done because of the box limitation. I would have to agree. Actually, I keep all my fleeting notes as a daily note in Obsidian. I treat my fleeting notes almost like an active journal. Everything that I was working on, I wrote down on fleeting notes. So I kept all of them, and actually fleeting notes are really important in my Zettelkasten. Do hub notes really relevant in digital Zettelkasten? I mean, there is already tagging category and search engine. Some tools, e.g. Obsidian, even provide graph to show topic connections and clustering. I would have to agree that the original hub notes, which are meant for navigation and searching, are no longer needed. However, hub notes have evolved, and I think modern day hub notes like the ones in my system, which you can see the link up there, or something like map of content, which are kind of modern day hub notes, are meant for consolidation of a content. For example, I have a hub note called How to Build a Great Sales Organization. So this hub note is not about finding notes related to this topic only, but it's also a consolidation of everything related to this topic. So I can write down the summaries of how I can build a great sales organization, how I can recruit people, how should I write a sales script. For example, instead of just being a search tool, it becomes something that is more valuable than that, if that makes sense to you. Overall, how Zettelkasten could evolve in the digital age. I am sure that as there are many styles in applying Zettelkasten, some could miss what Luhmann has intended, thus make it less effective, and some other could aid the original one, making it more effective. I am sure that given the simplistic nature of this technique, there are still room for improvement. Really interesting question, Muhammad. Something to keep in mind is that the original Zettelkasten was invented by a scholar for his needs. So Luhmann write and read publications for a living. So I think modern day Zettelkasten could be adjusted for other use cases. For example, for a student that would like to take exams, and something like Logseek or RemNote would be really fantastic for those use cases. And something like flashcards can supplement Zettelkasten system. Or someone who is a lifelong learner who just want to improve themselves and learn new things, Zettelkasten could be adjusted for those use cases. Or knowledge workers who have to learn about something and apply it as his or her jobs, Zettelkasten could really help for those use cases as well. So in other words, I think modern day Zettelkasten could be adjusted for different use cases. And because of that, I don't think the process would be exactly like what Luhmann used for his original process. And that's why I make the last video about detailed steps that Luhmann took to understand the original concept, and then you can tweak it for your own use case. Another aspect that I think we will see more and more is about collaborative Zettelkasten. Because of the today's tool that you can real-time collaborate on something, we will see collaborative Zettelkasten as an emerging use case as well. Okay, so that's it for today's Q&A. Well, thank you so much, Muhammad, for the questions. And if any of you have any questions, please leave down in the comments, and I would do a video like this on a regular basis to answer them. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.